Welcome to the Verity voting system polling place training for Verity TouchWriter. The Verity voting system includes several different polling place devices. The number and type of devices used at each polling place may vary. In this video, you will learn about the Verity TouchWriter ballot marking device. Each Verity device is contained in an integrated case. The device case includes a label that identifies the type of device. The Verity TouchWriter has a red A label and a black W label. Verity TouchWriter. Verity TouchWriter is an accessible ballot marking device. Once a voter has finished voting and reviewed their choices, they will then print a paper ballot marked with their choices from the attached printer. The voter then retrieves and casts the ballot, either using Verity Scan or into a ballot box to be processed centrally. Voters may make their ballot selections with TouchWriter using either the touchscreen or using Verity Access. Verity Access is an audio tactile interface, or ATI, intended for voters that cannot or prefer not to use the touchscreen. Verity Access includes two connection ports. The left connection port is for headphones, while the right connection port is for any dual switch input device, such as tactile switches or sip and puff devices. Setting up the ballot printer. Set up the table for your ballot printer and set the ballot printer on the table. Plug the square end of the USB printer cable into the printer. The flat end will be plugged into the Verity TouchWriter. Insert the printer power cord into the printer and the other end into a power outlet. Load the ballot printer with appropriate ballot paper for your election. Do not power on the printer at this time. Setting up the voting booth. The Verity TouchWriter booth comes in a fabric transport bag. Remove booth parts from the transport bag. A complete set of booth parts includes the booth table, rear leg assembly, front leg extensions, and privacy screens. Release bungee cords holding the booth legs if present. Unfold the legs from the booth table, pull on the handle, and lift to lock the legs into place. Attach the front leg extensions. Press the metal buttons to attach each leg and lock them into place. Attach the rear leg assembly. Press the metal buttons to attach and lock into place. Turn the booth over to set up the Verity TouchWriter. Setting up the Verity TouchWriter. Set the Verity TouchWriter on top of the booth, aligning footpads with the indentations. The handle on the front of the TouchWriter should face the same direction as the handle on the booth. Stand at the front of the booth. Reach under the front of the booth top and push the latch away from you to secure the TouchWriter to the booth. Open the case and remove the power brick and power cord from the storage compartment. Close the compartment and case. Plug the power cord into the power brick, and then plug the power brick into the back of the Verity TouchWriter, flat side up. Plug the flat end of the USB printer cable from the ballot printer into the back of the Verity TouchWriter, with the notch facing up. Open the Verity TouchWriter case and lock the lid brace in place. Unlock, unlatch, and remove the tablet. Seat the tablet into the cradle, tilt it back, and then lock it into place. Attach privacy screens to both sides of the booth. Verify the tamper seal on the locked compartment above the printer. Plug the power cord into AC power. A green light should illuminate on the power brick when AC power is present. Now press the switch on the bottom right side of the ballot printer to power it on. Now power on the Verity TouchWriter by pressing the red button on the back of the device. If your jurisdiction uses the auto ballot barcode reader, wait until the TouchWriter finishes powering up and displays the Print 0 report screen. Then connect the auto ballot barcode reader to the USB connection located on the locked compartment above the report printer. Connect headphones to the Verity access controller. Plug the headphones into the headphone port on the top left of Verity Access. The port on the top right of the Verity Access may be used for optional tactile switches, sip and puff, or any other dual switch input device. Opening the polls. To open polls, first check the battery and AC power indicators on the screen and confirm that you are running on AC power. Select Print 0 Report. Check the 0 report. On the screen, check the ballot or sheet count and the date and time. Select Open the Polls. Enter the Open Polls code and then select Accept. The Open Polls report will print. File the 0 and Open Polls reports according to local guidelines. When the device is ready to be used for marking ballots, the Ready for Use screen will display. Reopening the polls. To power on the Verity TouchWriter and reopen polls after polls have been suspended, press the red button on the back of Verity TouchWriter to power it on. Enter the Open Polls code and then select Accept. The Open Polls report will print. File the Open Polls report according to local guidelines. Verity TouchWriter is ready when you see the Ready to Use screen. Activating a ballot. Press and hold your finger on the Ready for Use button to continue, or alternately, press the blue poll worker button on the back of TouchWriter. Enter the poll worker code and select Accept. Select Activate Ballot. Choose the correct precinct from the list and select OK. Confirm the precinct you selected and then select Yes, activate this ballot. Once you've activated the ballot, the voter selects To Get Started, touch here, or they can turn the move wheel on Verity Access clockwise. After completing the voting process at the Verity TouchWriter, the voter retrieves the printed ballot from the ballot printer located next to their Verity TouchWriter. The voter then casts a ballot either using Verity Scan or by placing the printed ballot into a ballot box to be processed centrally. Spoiling a ballot on Verity TouchWriter. To spoil an active ballot on the TouchWriter before it has been printed, press the blue poll worker button on the back of the Verity TouchWriter. Enter the poll worker code and select Accept. Select Spoil Current Ballot. Select Yes, spoil the ballot. Select OK. Fill out and file any paperwork required by your jurisdiction. You can print a ballot marking session summary report on Verity TouchWriter at any time. This report lists the number of ballots printed, active sessions, sessions in progress, and ballots spoiled. Press and hold your finger on the Ready for Use button on the TouchWriter screen. or alternately press the blue poll worker button on the back of the Verity TouchWriter. Enter the poll worker code and select Accept. Select Print Summary Report. Provisional voting on Verity TouchWriter. If your jurisdiction procedures permit, poll workers may issue a provisional access code using Verity TouchWriter by selecting Mark as Provisional on the Confirm Access Code screen. A provisional voter will then use this code to access, vote, and print a provisional ballot. Provisional ballots printed on Verity TouchWriter cannot be scanned using Verity Scan. Instead, follow local voting procedures for casting paper ballots. Suspending the polls. To suspend polls during a multi-day voting event, press and hold your finger on the Ready to Use button on the TouchWriter screen, or alternately press the blue poll worker button on the back of the Verity TouchWriter. Select Menu at the top of the screen. Select Suspend Polls. Enter the Suspend Polls code and select Accept. A Suspend Polls report will print automatically. The polls are now suspended. Print and file reports available on the screen as required by your jurisdiction. When you have finished printing reports, press the red power button on the back side of the Verity TouchWriter device to power it off. Closing the polls. To close polls, press and hold your finger on the Ready for Use button on the TouchWriter screen, or alternately press the blue poll worker button on the back of the Verity TouchWriter. Select Menu at the top of the screen. Now select Close Polls. Confirm that you are ready to close the polls, and then select Yes, Close the Polls. Enter the Close Polls code and select Accept. The Close Polls report will print automatically. The polls are now closed. Print and file reports available on the screen as required by your jurisdiction. When you have finished printing reports, press the red power button on the back of the Verity TouchWriter to power it off. This concludes the polling place training video for the Verity TouchWriter ballot marking device.